All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're diving into a crypto project with a pretty wild goal: to make centralized exchanges totally obsolete. It's called ProveX, and the claim is that it can completely change the way we all trade. So let's see what it's all about.
Yeah, they are not shy about this at all. I mean, look at that. The project's whole vibe is wrapped up in this single, powerful phrase. According to everything they've put out, the main goal here is to completely overhaul how value moves from one person to another. So that really is the big question, isn't it? A new project is claiming it can take on the biggest names in crypto. But what is it really? And how in the world is it supposed to work? To figure that out, we've got to look past the hype and get into the nitty-gritty, the actual mechanics. Let's see what their own materials have to say.
Okay, so first up, the middleman problem. Before we can really get our heads around the solution ProveX is offering, we have to understand the problem they're trying to fix. And it all boils down to this kind of central irony in the world of crypto.
You know, the whole point of crypto, way back when, was to get rid of middlemen, right? To cut out the banks. But what happened? Well, ironically, a whole new set of massive middlemen popped up: centralized exchanges. The entire argument from ProveX is that this just isn't what crypto was supposed to be. They see it as a betrayal of that original vision, and they claim they've built the system to fix it.
And wow, this is basically their battle cry. It's this big, bold statement that the old way of doing things, having to trust some company with your money, is completely broken. And their answer isn't just another company that promises to be more trustworthy. No, their whole deal is a system where trust isn't even part of the equation.
So, if you're throwing trust out the window, what's left? What do you replace it with? Well, according to ProveX, the answer is math. Simple as that. Specifically, a really cool type of cryptography that lets you prove something is true without revealing the how or the what. And this, right here, is where things get super interesting.
Okay, so let's walk through how a swap is supposed to work without any trust involved. It's actually pretty straightforward, just 3 steps. Step 1, the seller proves they sent their coins to a smart contract, basically putting them in escrow. Step 2, the buyer proves they paid, but, and this is the magic part, they do it by generating a proof from their bank without ever sharing their login or personal data. And finally, step 3, the math settles it. The smart contract checks both proofs, sees everything is good, and releases the funds. The whole thing is automated. No humans, no trust needed.
So the tech that makes all this possible is called a zero-knowledge proof, or ZKP for short. Now, what is that? Well, the classic way to explain it is like this. Imagine I have to prove to you that I know the password to a secret door. Instead of telling you the password, I just open the door. You know I knew the password, but you never learned what it was. That's a ZKP. In the ProveX world, the buyer's browser extension talks to their bank and spits out this cryptographic receipt. That's the proof that says, yep, payment sent. But it never, ever reveals their account number, password, or how much money they have.
And because of this tech, the project claims it has some serious advantages. They're talking about a user experience that kills what exchanges offer today: instant, private, and you never give up your funds. Then there's this idea of a composability moat, which is a fancy way of saying once someone integrates this, it can be used for a million other things. They also see huge demand coming from all over: finance, identity, you name it. And maybe the most important part, it's credibly neutral. Because it's all just math and code, it can't play favorites.
All right, so that's the tech. It's pretty cool. But what about the token? How does the actual ProveX token get its value? Well, the whole economic engine behind it is built on one simple idea: making it scarce. Let's take a look at how they plan to do that.
And here it is. This is the fuel for the whole machine. A tiny 2% fee. That's it. It's split down the middle. 1% from the buyer, 1% from the seller, on every single trade. And the argument they make is that this is already a good deal compared to what people are paying on other platforms that aren't even private or trustless.
Now that fee is what kicks off this really cool automated cycle. Here's what happens. A smart contract scoops up all those fees. Then it goes shopping. It takes that money and uses it to buy ProveX tokens right off the open market. And what does it do with them? It sends them to a burn address. Poof, gone forever. They're completely removed from the supply. It's a really interesting way to try and create constant buying pressure on the token.
And this right here just nails the core idea. It's a simple formula. More adoption means more scarcity. The more people use it, the more fees there are. The more fees, the more tokens get bought and burned, and the more tokens get burned, the rarer the ones left behind become. The whole system's value is directly tied to how many people are actually using it.
Okay, so let's talk about the launch. How did this thing even get started?
Well, they didn't do an ICO or a pre-sale or take any venture capital money. Instead, they did something pretty different, something they call a sacrifice. And they're very clear. They frame it as a political statement, not an investment.
And this is the heart of it. To participate, you literally have to agree to this statement. The wording is so deliberate. You're not investing, you are sacrificing your coins to make a political point. You're saying, I believe in this idea of removing middlemen. It's a clever way to try and make sure the first people holding the token are all on the same page, ideologically.
And, well, it looks like that idea really resonated with people. Just look at these numbers. Over $13 million worth of crypto has been sacrificed so far, with most of it, over $10 million, coming from the Ethereum network alone. That's a lot of belief. It shows there's already a pretty significant community backing this thing.
All right, now we need to talk about how the bonus works. Because, of course, there's a system to encourage people to get in early and to participate in a bigger way. But it's not just a flat bonus for everyone. Oh no, it's all about where you rank.
And to explain this, their own documents give us this great little story, the auditorium analogy. I love this. So just imagine that every single dollar or point that gets sacrificed is a person. And all these people are lining up outside a huge auditorium, with the biggest sacrificer right at the front of the line all the way down to the smallest. So the doors open and everyone files in, filling the seats from the front row to the very back. Now, an attendant starts at the front and hands out bonus cards. The person in the very first seat, they get a 3x bonus card. And as the attendant works their way back, the bonus gets smaller and smaller, all the way down to the very last person in the last row who gets a bonus of just a little over 1x. So it's simple. The bigger your sacrifice, the better your seat, and the bigger your bonus.
Okay, so let's look at the timeline, because this is super important. The whole thing kicks off December 11th. But here's the key thing to notice. The rate starts going up on January 3rd, and the ranking for that big bonus, the one from 1x to 3x, that ends on January 5th. But the sacrifice itself doesn't end until January 10th. See that gap? There's a reason for that.
And this is why that gap matters so much. There are basically two different bonus systems running. You've got the main volume bonus, that's your variable 1x to 3x based on your rank. But if you wait and sacrifice in those last 5 days, you're not in the running for that. You just get a flat 0.75x rate. It's basically a penalty for waiting until the last minute. The whole system is built from the ground up to reward the people who show up early and with conviction.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the key takeaways here. What we're looking at is a project with this massive goal of replacing crypto exchanges using trustless math. The tech behind it is zero-knowledge proofs, which allows for these private peer-to-peer swaps. The token itself is designed to get more and more scarce the more the platform is used, thanks to that 2% buy and burn fee. And it launched in this really unique way with a sacrifice that's framed as a political belief and a bonus system that gives a major leg up to the earliest and biggest supporters.
And you can really feel the tone in their marketing. It's all about urgency, right? This sense of, this is a historical moment. They're definitely tapping into that powerful FOMO, the fear of missing out, by drawing parallels to the early days of Bitcoin or Ethereum. The message is clear. This is a chance to be part of something big from the very beginning.
So what's the big picture here? The whole goal of ProveX is to swap out corporate middlemen for mathematical ones. Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. Is that the future of commerce? Are we just trading one boss for another? And is a middleman made of code in math truly better than one made of people in corporate structures? That's the real puzzle, isn't it? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.